Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Opinionated Lushes Does Books and Booze, a series where we invite on indie authors where they can talk a little bit about the writing process and read a little bit of their stories. So I'm going to pass it to Dawn Marie to introduce this week's author.
Hey guys, welcome back. And today we have guest Lavender Nicole with us. Hi, Lavender. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I'm so excited to have you on. Um, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how'd you start writing? Do you have any animals and what's their names?
Yes, so I have three dogs. They're all named after alcohol, which fits the theme of this. So I have a girl named Jenny, but it's Gin, and then I have Knox and Scotch. I started writing about 2 years ago. I became a widow in October of 2022, and
I'm
I
so
wanted to
sorry.
do it. Thank you. It was sort of part of the healing process for me. And I've read several books with widows as main characters, but not a lot. And not from authors that I could tell were widows or had been through the process themselves. And so for me, it was very healing. And I wanted to sort of get a different perspective out there and have people understand that, like, there's a range of emotions when it comes to being a widow or a widower, especially like when you're in your 30s. So, like, I'm now going through the process of trying to date as a widowed 33-year-old. And it's just like one of those things where there's not a lot of representation for it. And it felt right. And it was very healing for me. So specifically the book I'm reading today was sort of like my first introduction of writing my feelings down about being a widow.
Wow,
Nice.
that's a tough thing, and it's great that you found a way to really channel that energy.
Yes. It really has been healing. And like my therapist was very impressed. Like, I know that sounds weird, but I saw her again for the first time a while ago, and she was like very supportive and said that it was a great way to heal. And it really was. It was very healing for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm scared to ever like become in that. Like that's like one of my biggest fears is like my significant other just and then I'm raising these kids by myself and I don't want to.
Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but like we were going to foster and adopt and it fell through. And once he passed, I was like, I'm so glad that I didn't have a child to bring through this, because his passing was very traumatic for me, the way it happened and the entire situation. Um, and so it's like one of those things where I desperately want kids. It's one of the reasons I write the pregnancy trope. It to me is like something that I haven't gone through. Um, but at the same time, I'm very grateful that in my situation, I did not have a child to have to guide through that.
For
So
sure, for sure.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
it's
get.
like hard to heal and heal the little thing. It's just so much extra stuff that you can't focus on like your needs in those moments. So,
exactly. And
yeah.
it changed, like my life turned upside down. I went from I don't want to go like too much into it because I know I don't want to take up a ton of time, but like he was the main breadwinner and I have a bunch of chronic illnesses. So like it was suddenly
Yeah.
uh that income was gone. And because the way life insurance is, there was a suicide clause.
Mm.
So I didn't get life insurance. And so like my life just sort of like turned upside down. And so writing was sort of like a good process for me to work through that and sort of find independence, I guess.
Yeah. No, it makes sense for
Yeah.
sure.
And I'm glad that it's helping you heal. Like I really am. Like everyone's got to find that vice and at least this gets your creative juices flowing and it's
Yes,
circle of life.
it
More
really
healthier
is.
path.
And exactly. And it sort of helps me it has given me the confidence to start dating again. Like that sounds weird because like obviously the characters are fictional, but for me, it's like sort of showing that there is a possibility that I'm not
Mm.
gonna be this person that I was when he passed away. Like I'm growing, I've made something of myself. I'm very small. I'm, just starting out as an indie author, but like I have made this progress and it's very encouraging, like not encouraging, but I don't know what the word is.
But yeah.
Rewarding, maybe.
Rewarding. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on our podcast and like sharing all that with us cuz like, it's a lot for
It's a
sure.
lot. And I'm very happy to be here. And I'm glad that there are people that are helping indie authors do this. Like it's expensive to be an indie author and finding people to help is
I,
hard.
I'm not an indie author yet, but that's the route I am going when I do finally write my book. But like, so I try to help indie authors the best way I can, which is just use my platform. Um, so I get it. Like, I've seen what indie authors go through, and it's crazy.
It is. And
All
it
it
was one of the
takes.
things where, like, I had a general idea when I got into it, and then when I actually started writing, and I was like, "Oh my god, there's so many things I have to pay for and do."
And you're on your own. You don't have a team. Like, it's
No.
just you. You have to figure out who you're gonna edit. You have to figure out who's gonna do your covers and all that. Like, it's all on you. You don't have a publishing team behind you.
Yeah.
So, and then you have to pay out of pocket for all these services just to get your book out.
Yes. I was very lucky. So I live in Atlanta without telling too much, but I have a friend that went to SCAD, which is like Savannah College of Art and Design, except they have an Atlanta location. And he does comic books. He doesn't want his name in the like spicy bookish world, so I'm not going to drop it. But he actually did my cover for me, so it was like very unique and special. It cost me way too much money, and I can't do it again. But for the first book, I wanted something that was different and special, and so I was very lucky that like I did have that particular in. But Etsy is a lifesaver, to be honest. And like there are a bunch of people on Facebook that do covers and things, and so they've
you gotta
also been a
shop
lifesaver.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah, you definitely do.
you really do, or else you can spend way too much.
I mean, I can still see it, like, because you'll see a cover that looks really good, and you're like, oh, maybe like another book in my mind that will go. I should buy that anyway. Just
Yeah.
to save it.
That is, and I have this really bad habit of like, I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was this girl that had done like an art display on her wall, and she had put a butt plug instead of hands. And I was like, I want this to be a book cover because I think it's hilarious.
Right?
It was just like a jewel and some hands with a frame around it. I was like, this is amazing. I need this.
I just post that on my wall like a poster. Like, hell yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this is amazing. I need this in my life.
All right, Jessica, do you want to tell us the drink words?
Okay, I'll say the drink words, and if there is anything you have to say to lead up to this story, feel free to say it before you start reading.
Okay.
So, I was very excited to read these drink words. So the three drink words are pussy, church, and wafer. So,
Yeah.
feel free to start whenever. We're gonna mute our mics, and then just let us know when you are done.
Of course. So this chapter I wrote, it's the first FF scene in my book. So it's a poly FFM romance. And they have gone to the church of one of the female main characters. And that's where they have their first sexual encounter experience. So, chapter 31, River. God, I was so fucking nervous. I had this beautiful goddess of a woman sitting in front of me, while my soft stomach and floppy arms were on display. But I was not about to let my insecurities ruin this for me. While I had Raven distracted by playing with her perfect tits, I reached behind me and grabbed one of the items I took from the stage of the church. God, I was gonna fuck in a church. I was gonna go all out. I brought the juice used for the communion between us and poured the liquid all over her boobs before I used my tongue to clean her up. I would have done the wine, but pregnancy meant that wasn't an option. So I was glad when I saw the juice. Raven was definitely shocked. The juice obviously surprising her, but her moans mixed with the giggles told me she liked it. Kneeling in front of her wasn't really giving me the best access, so I stood, pulling my leggings off as I did. Raven watched. Surprise filled her gaze when she saw that I didn't have on any underwear. We were both naked. I gently pushed Raven down so she was lying in the church pew, and I was leaning over her. I was with her laying down, legs spread. I put my knee between her thighs to give her something to grind on. While she ground her glistening pussy on my knee, I leaned over and kissed her hard, pouring more of the juice over her, and pouring the juice over her, I slowly licked it, my tongue following the path of the liquid over her body. Eventually, the juice brought me face to face with her pussy. Nerves shot through me, and I looked up. Finding Raven watching me through half-hooded eyes, I spoke before I lost my nerve. Raven, I'm bi, but I've never actually been with another woman. I want you to guide me and tell me exactly what you want. Her voice was full of desire when she responded. I can do that, River. Now be a good girl and lick my pussy and tell me how I taste. Her dirty words and orders had me wishing for my own relief. But I was so glad she understood and gave me directions. I leaned down just as I leaned down and did just as I was told, licking her glistening cunt and groaning through the taste on my tongue. She tasted like the best kind of temptation. When I told her as much, I heard her chuckle, but I stopped that chuckle with another long lick. Her cunt was quickly becoming my favorite place. I was intoxicated by her smell and taste. Everything felt just so right. I was I was supposed to be bringing her to heaven in this church. My tongue slowly moved up her slit till it was circling around her clit. As I pulled my tongue away from her clit and spread her lips with my fingers, I stuck my tongue deeply into her pussy as I could. Moaning, River gave me my next directive. River, use your fingers to rub my clit while you fuck me with your tongue. She looked beautifully disheveled, gazing down her body. Sorry. She looked beautifully disheveled, gazing down her body with me tongue deep inside her cunt. Before I did as I was told, I reached down and grabbed 2 church waivers. River looked confused when she saw them, but I spread her lips and sucked them inside her. She sucked in a deep breath and moaned loudly as I did as I was told. I heard her call me a good girl as I rubbed circles on her clit and fucked her with my tongue. It wasn't long before she was coming all over my face. I pulled my fingers away and slowly started to lick up her release. Her fingers threaded through my hair, and she pulled my head away. I let her pull me away, but not before I started to use my tongue to get the church wafers from her pussy and showed them to her. Soaking with her release, she watched as I stuck one on my tongue and ate it. I offered her the second, and Raven stuck her tongue out, moaning as she tasted herself on the wafer. Somehow, our debauchery in the church had me feeling so relaxed and at peace. I realized that I didn't even need to finish. I just wanted to sit with this feeling and hold Raven. So that's exactly what I did. I moved us down so we weren't sitting in the mess we made and held her. I let myself feel the confusing emotions and just relax into them. I knew this was probably not how anyone pictured today going, but I was very glad it did. We sat like that for a while longer, Raven completely naked in front of me, and I could not stop staring. That's when suddenly headlights illuminated the interior of the church as someone pulled into the parking lot. Immediately, our little slice of bliss was filled with panic of 2 women being caught naked on a sticky church pew in this place of worship for God knows how many people. We both jumped up and rushed to get dressed. Raven's bottoms were in the pew, and our shirts were up on the stage. While Raven covered up her bottom half, I rushed to grab our shirts, my tits jumping painfully and comically. I didn't really have the brain power to worry about that. We rushed getting our clothes thrown on, and by the time the doors of the church opened, we looked like we'd been up to no good, but we're fully clothed.
Woof. Woof.
Spicy.
I love how your shirt says "Get Nasty."
It says "Get Nasty, Good Girl." You can't see the bottom, but it does in fact say "Get Nasty, Good Girl."
You dressed on theme.
I did. It felt right, and this is like my go-to outfit, or my idea of like a cut-off shirt and some bookish something on it.
No,
Oh,
that's
that was
great. Okay,
Thank you.
I have to ask.
Yeah.
Did you when you started writing, did you always plan on writing like spicy? Was that like the get-go? You were just like, that's it for me?
Yes, it is. So one of the things since being a widow, I'm very demisexual. So like I'm not comfortable just doing like one night stands, things like that. And so this is like a way where I can explore kinks, explore fantasies without having to go out and just like do them because I'm not comfortable doing that. And unfortunately, like a lot of guys just expect for that to happen.
Yes.
And I'm a spicy book connoisseur. It has like been my thing for many years. And so it just sort of fit. It's a great way to express yourself. And yeah, so it was my go-to.
So, what kind of research do you do when you like write these scenes? Like, do you read other spicy books, or do you watch certain videos, or like, is there anything else that inspires you when you write these scenes?
Yeah, so both of those I read and I watch depending on like what the scene is, where it's coming from, that sort of thing. Honestly, this scene was inspired by a TikTok. That sounds weird, but I had a mutual that like saw this video of a girl talking about how she did this with her ex-girlfriend in a church with the communion wafers, and I was like, I'm gonna put that in a book. And so it just like fit with the first book. It it was like a healing place for one of the characters and a great bonding place for it. And I was like, I like this. So I take inspiration from like whatever strikes. My other book, I turned an IUD into a cock cage. So
An
So you get
IUD into
creative.
yeah.
Damn.
We'll gotta have you back on.
I got questions now. Oh, wow.
I will happily come back on. But yeah.
Okay, so when you're writing, are you a pantser or a plotter?
I don't really plot. I sort of go with the vibe of like, this is what happens. And that's like one of the things that happened with Tattooed on Their Hearts is I was writing and suddenly I wrote in a twist that I wasn't expecting. And I was like, well, fuck, now I have to figure out how this works. I'm not very good at plotting. I'm just sort of like, I go with the vibe and make sure that everything fits. So
I feel like that's a majority. And I think it's because when you're writing these characters, they have a mind of their own and like things change as you write.
they really do.
Everyone that wants to be a plotter ends up being a pantser anyway. It doesn't matter. It's just
Yeah.
out of their control now.
Yeah, I've seen like several authors be like, this is like the plan for my book. And I'm like, how do you do that? Because I can't even make a TBR for what I'm going to read. Like, I can't plan what's going to happen.
Plan? No way.
Yeah. No, doesn't work for me. And I have like notes in my phone because I am unfortunately somebody where like my brain forgets things. And so one of my ARC readers in my second book was like, you changed the guy's name, right? And I was like, no, this has been through 3 editors. I've read it. Nobody caught it.
It reminds me of like those soap operas where they swap out the actors for like the same character and act like to like never say anything. Yeah.
It was like it was just like the sort of like the villain of the story. One of them, like it started off as Steve and I changed it to Scott at some point, and I was like, when did why?
And no one got on. Everyone's like fucking Steve, and later on they're like fucking Scott.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking person. Maybe I had split personality. We don't know.
Yeah, maybe. So and I like was texting my friend who edited it. I was like, how did we all miss this? Because it is what it is, I guess.
It's true.
But I was like, send out all my arcs, and that happened.
So you said you have like an ARC team. How did you go about getting one of those? Because I know a lot of authors are having trouble in that aspect about getting an ARC team that they trust and stuff. So how did you do it?
So I'm still going through and like building like a set art team. I'm working on building a street team as well. Unfortunately, a lot of it, like I don't want to say unfortunately, but a lot of it's Facebook. Facebook is sort of a great marketplace for authors to be able to do things. There are specific groups where you can post, like, I'm looking for ARC readers for this. It could be romance, it could be monster romance, whatever. And then you can go in different groups and they'll have like an author takeover day or like just a day where authors can post like their promos and things like that. And that's a lot of how I found it. Or like somebody will be looking for a rec and I can put self-rec, I'm looking for arcs for this or something like that, where I want to be like honest that like I'm recommending my own book. Mm-hmm. However, this fits sort of the vibe of what you're posting. Here's an option if you're interested in an arc for it. And I got a lot more arc requests on my second book than my first book. So I don't know if it was like the fact that I already had a book out there or if people were just like more into like the demon romance aspect of it. But yeah, so it takes a process. And it was like a fear of mine because like right at the time I was doing all the arcs, another piracy site had jumped up and a lot of authors were struggling with like not wanting to do arc readers because of this reason.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But then that's like half of Amazon's fault too for not protecting their authors. Like, let's be honest there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of authors in particular, like, I know I'm considering taking my books off of KU and going wide because I'm not really making a ton off of KU. And Amazon really limits that. And that's part of the reason is like, if your book's in KU and it gets pirated, you can lose your account, you can lose money you've made, all sorts of things.
I actually made a TikTok saying like, so a lot of people are banning Amazon for other reasons, not even just because of the indie author thing, but because like Amazon's changing their rules all the time. And people are just fed up with Jeff Bezos and his
Yeah.
crap. And even though he's not CEO anymore,
It's
still.
yeah.
It's still
Yeah.
how you think of it.
Anyway, people are boycotting Amazon, and you can see if you look at the stock market, like, it is dropping.
Yeah.
And then authors, a lot of indie authors, which I'm really sad about, got really defensive and were like, no, you can't cancel with us because then we lose our money. And I was
Yeah.
like, you can't put that responsibility like on other people.
No,
You can't do that.
you
Like,
can't.
I get it. It's a struggle. Everyone's struggling right now, and I want you to get your money, like, get that bank, but like, if someone morally can't do it,
Then
you
yeah,
shouldn't punish them. You shouldn't. And then people are like, we don't want to go a lot like wide because it is harder. We
it
all
is.
know going
It's
wide is
something.
much harder.
Yeah,
Because
I'm.
Amazon made it easier so that they would cornerstone it and that they can get most of it. But like, I felt I got really the bad ick from even a lot of authors that I followed that I loved. They were just like, no, like, you can cancel your Prime, but don't cancel KU. You don't think Amazon makes money off of KU too? They wouldn't have it if not.
Yeah, they're like, there are people that have done the math that show how much you can read each month in order to show that Amazon is actually losing money on you. But it was something where, like, I knew I was going to struggle afterwards. I wasn't making a lot a month anyways, but I'll be like completely honest. I've made like $8 this month from my book. And that's one of the reasons, like, I'm not putting that on readers and people that want to cancel their subscriptions, because I'm not buying from Amazon right now. The only thing I'm buying are like indie authors books if I'm buying something. But like, I'm not putting that on anybody else because I get it. Like, it's a moral thing and I don't want to have anybody change their morals or make them feel bad for that. So I do want to try and go wide, but it is a process.
Oh yeah. Like I get when people are like, you can't just tell people to go wide. Like, I get it. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of things you have to do, and like, it's so easy to go through KDP, which is Kindle distribution publishing or whatever.
Yeah.
And I get it that they made it so easy. So that, like I said, so they can cornerstone it, so they could like be the one and only. But I want to go to Kobo instead.
And that's like very valid, and that's something that I very much want to do. I have a Kobo account so I can read there. Like, I mostly listen to audiobooks because I have chronic migraines, so like writing takes up my time of like looking at a screen, right? But Audible has like this chokehold on it anyways. And it just is one of those things. And like, a lot of books are Audible exclusives. And I hate it because it's like, I would love to be able to go elsewhere. I mean, like, I have, what's the app for the library?
Oh, Libby.
Thank you. I forgot the name of it. Libby. And I'm part of the Penguin Random House audio influencer program. So like, I do have other ways to do it. But just like with ebooks and physical books, it's hard for an author to go elsewhere.
No, it really is. So I applaud you. If you end up going wide, I will support you 100% because I think you all need as much support as possible.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And it is like, I'm getting a tax return back this year, which I was surprised about. So like, I am planning on using that to help me go wide, because it costs money to like go on one of the other platforms and say, here's my stuff. Please distribute it for me.
That's what you should do, Dawn, on a TikTok one day. All the authors that took their stuff from KU and went wide, you promote just them for like.
I am. Okay. Well, I don't want to like fluff any feathers or anything, but like, I made that one post and I'm like, when I do buy my new Kobo, which I'm going to do soon, I'm going to just do my authors that I meet on there, because they have indie authors on there as well. And they deserve to be just as much recognized as Kindle Unlimited ones. So I'm going to start doing those. And if people cross over, Yeah.
And I honestly want people to cross over. Like, I know a lot of authors say that most of their income comes from Kindle Unlimited, and that very well might be the case. But I've also seen a lot of authors where like they make more from purchases on Kindle than actual Kindle Unlimited.
Right? Because it goes by page reads.
And goes by page reads.
And then what I heard is Kobo, they will they will still pay you even if you read the same page twice or three times. They'll pay you. Yeah. So like, if you do a reread, they'll pay you again.
That's
which
awesome.
I didn't know. I was like, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that is because I always took my dad in particular was looking for like a certain book that he had already read on KU, and I was like, hey, that author's not going to make money again if you read it. So next time you want to, you need to just go ahead and buy it from Amazon. So like it helps the author.
Yeah.
So
Support indie.
exactly.
Indie authors, indie podcasts, support them all.
Yes, support all the indie people. Did y'all see that article that came out today that said Facebook stole a bunch of authors' books?
I wouldn't be
No, but
surprised,
I
but
am
no, I
not
did not.
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they.
wow.
I think it came out in Republic. Like the article was, they found a site where piracy had happened, and they used all those pirated books to train their AI.
Yeah, not surprised. Again, Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, they're doing a circle jerk somewhere.
They are.
Pegging each other, taking turns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's another thing. Like all those authors that were on Kindle Unlimited and their books were on that piracy site, like Amazon could just pull it.
Oh my god.
And they banned so many books for
They
things that they think are ridiculous, like things they consider taboo.
Like, so another thing, I know that we're always getting off topic here, but trigger warnings. We love a page full of trigger warnings.
Yeah.
However, the second an author puts them on the front before you read the book, Amazon will ban that book instantly. They're like, no, those have no words. We don't want it. And like, you can change it up, like put little stars and like not spell the full word. No, if Amazon even gets a whiff, they're like, ban the book. And I'm like, how are we supposed to be warned? We're adults. We're allowed to buy these books.
Right. And then a lot of people won't my friend has go to my author website and her book, but a lot of people don't want that extra step.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
And I get it because it's like the convenience. Like this book is right here in front of me. I don't want to have to go open another thing and do it. So
and open a link. Like some of them now had to put the trigger list in the back of the book in a link that you click to go back to their website, and like, but it had to be at the back of the book. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
that's
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and like as a reader, like I don't want to be inconvenienced or like frustrated. My dog is about to hit my ring light, so I apologize. Thanks.
If your kid is reading books they shouldn't be reading on your KU account or their own KU account you got them, maybe you should be like monitoring that. Other than that, they're probably an adult and should be allowed to read what they want.
My parents were always like very adamant about monitoring what I did as a child. So like
that's what you should be doing.
Exactly. The idea of not doing that is crazy to me.
Right? Like you still have to parent your children. Like you can't put that responsibility on other things.
You're like, oh, they're reading, it's fine. It's like you're like 9-year-old reading like a sex scene.
You know what though?
I know.
If my 9-year-old can read a sex scene, I'm gonna be pretty freaking proud that he's reading a book. I don't care. If he can read the word clitoris and knows what it means, like
right. I used to work at an elementary school, and like one of the things I noticed is like people would get upset with their kids doing things, but also like it was a peak COVID. And so these kids would come on and they'd have like a little avatar, and it was Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B from WAP. And I was like, why is this your third grader's profile picture for their school? But also like, they're not actually parenting. So
yeah. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, no, that's rough.
But that is a thing where people are just like, I don't want my kids reading that. I'm like, well, then watch what your kids are reading instead of just expecting the author to do it.
Yeah, no, it goes the same with watching TV and stuff, right? Like it's the same thing. Like you monitor what you put on your television. You don't let your 4-year-old watch South Park because it's a cartoon. No.
Right. Yeah, so many people don't. You're in the way, Scott.
Oh, what a beautiful puppy.
Yeah.
Thank you. He is a mama's boy.
Which one is that?
This is Scotch.
Scotch. Hey, you.
It's funny that you name your dogs after alcohol because I have a bunny. His name is Tequila.
Okay.
And then we have 2 gerbils and they're Whiskey and Rummy.
Okay, so my dog that started it, his name was Whiskey. So he passed away, but like I have a huge tattoo of him, and the theme just continued. And I had a cat. Her name was Tonic, so it was gin and tonic.
That's cute. That's cute.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you said you have 2 books out now?
Yes, I have 2 books out now. Sorry, they're barking.
That's
It's
okay.
Scotch. So Tattooed on the Heart was my debut one, which is like, I love this cover.
Yeah.
It's very tiny, but like it was very like well done. And then the back looks like a bunch of drawn tattoos.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he did such a great job on it. And then my other one is just like it's a real short novella. It's called All Caged Up. And it just came out in February.
Okay. How
So-
long on average does it take you to like finish a book?
So this one is really short. So like this one only took me a couple of months. I wrote it at the same I started it in November and then I joined an anthology. So I wrote an anthology piece that I wrote in about a month. And then so this one took me about 3 months. A lot of people can sit down and write these really long books, like Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valencia and Zodiac Academy. I don't know how they did that. My brain is just like too much.
Yeah,
Too much.
that's way too much. And there's so much detail in those books because they're
Yeah.
fantasy. And like you have to remember all like the magic and like the
I don't know
shape
how they-
shifting and all the just the world building. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it. I've listened to those books and sometimes I like will re-listen to it. And I'm like, I'm catching something new or whatever.
And then there's so many characters. And then like a lot of the characters have similar names too. And I'm like, wait, what did that person didn't they just do some nope, different one?
Yes. So for me, like I'm not one of those authors that can sit there. I guess that could very well change. But like at the beginning, I'm not able to sit there and write a 100,000 page word or 100,000 word book and go from there. Tattooed on Their Hearts took me about a year, but I went through a pretty big like depressive slump during it because I started it the year after my husband passed, and it was just sort of like I hit a time where I couldn't really write. So it took me about a year to do, and I released it in October because that was the 2-year anniversary of him passing, and so it was like I'm changing the narrative of the month of October. And then All Caged Up took me just a couple of months, and I started on the sequel for All Caged Up, and I'm hoping it'll only take me a couple of months too, because it'll probably still be another really short novella. They're just like really short, steamy, faded romance books. So,
Okay.
but All Caged Up or Tattooed on the Hearts is a contemporary, like a lot of working on dealing with grief and being progression and like working through some things. So one is just like a fun short, well, I call it like diet dark. All Caged Up is still got darker elements to it, but it's not dark in my opinion. And then Tattooed on the Hearts has like triggers in it, but it's a contemporary, just sort of like poly romance. So one of them required more world building. Man, I can't talk now. And I had to remember like all the little aspects I put in All Caged Up because like they are faded mates and things like that. And so I had to remember like how did I make them faded mates and things like that. Which was hard to do when I was also writing a contemporary romance for an anthology. So
Yeah. How did you get invited to do the anthology? Because like I see a lot of authors like start taking up on those, and I'm like, that would be pretty cool to like jump on to like get my name out there and while I'm writing my actual big book.
yeah, that was my thought process too, was like this is a great like marketing scheme. Like I wanted to help because it went to help feminine it's called a Feminine Rage anthology. The anthology is called Echoes of Vengeance, and they all went to help female reproductive health. Like organizations. That's where the money went to. And my PA actually sent it to me. That is one of the things I did decide, like, even though I'm not making enough to pay her, I'm not great at making graphics and stuff like that. And she had like this person that was doing an anthology. And so she told me about it. But on Facebook, the one I'm in is called Smutville Anthologies. And I joined it. And that's how I sort of got my foot in the door with it.
Dawn's like writing that down,
down. Notes.
Yeah. I want to say the PA that's in charge of it, Daisy Taylor. I could be wrong. I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure her first name is Daisy. And she's a mutual of mine on Facebook, and she was the one that was in charge of it, getting it organized. Excuse me, sir. He's like, you're not giving me enough attention.
I heard they're like a lot of work because you have to work with multiple authors and like you all have deadlines at certain times, and then you gotta make sure you're not writing the same story over and over again, right? But like it has to be similar, like obviously in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know if you had any trouble like dealing with any of that.
I didn't with this one. This was a much smaller anthology to begin with. Like it's not one of the more well-known ones. The PA that was in charge of it went through and she made sure everybody's book was different. The only real things we had were a set date that it had to be edited by and turned in so that she could format it and put it in the book.
Yeah.
And she does edit books. So like she did offer a discounted rate for authors that wanted to format or to edit their book with her. So this one wasn't all that much, but I have heard that, especially like when they're interconnected standalones, these weren't interconnected. They were everybody's just individual story and how they wanted to write it.
Yeah, I heard like a lot of authors will like do like part of their story like from a different like their own books and like bring in a small chapter and then they have to like redo it, like remaster it or whatever.
Yeah.
And re-release it. And I'm just like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I wrote like a different story, and then once it's no longer in the anthology, I can have it re-edited and sell it myself as a novella. So that was my plan, is it would just be like another little small novella that I could do. But also like I wanted to contribute to this anthology that would help with reproductive rights. It like from the time of the election to this coming out, like it was immediately after the election results came in. They were like, we're doing this anthology.
Absolutely.
And then it came out in February. So it was a quick process.
Yeah, they move fast. Good for them.
I don't think they all move fast, but this one definitely did.
They had no choice. They seen and they're like, no, we gotta do something. We can't just.
Sir,
yeah.
What's happening?
He's like, I want to be in the podcast.
He suddenly decided
to play.
Well, no, he's trying to hump me, and this is not a normal thing.
To play.
to play.
Sister is growling at him. She's like, stop.
She knows.
She is. She is when he won't listen to me because he is my stubborn dog. I'll be like, Jenny, come get your brother.
Come get him. He's being stubborn.
He's annoying.
So we've talked a lot about, the smutty and the romance.
Yeah.
Is there a genre you haven't written but you'd like to write or explore?
So I did the demon. One of the books I really want to write is an academy romance. I want to do an academy shifter romance. There's a lot of those where it's like werewolves and things like that, but I have like a bunch of I don't know if you can tell, I have a bunch of like sea animals, and so like I want to write one that's sea animal shifters in an academy because like I wanted something different that was fun, and it like I obviously love them. I have a huge octopus tattooed on my back. When I was a little girl, I told my mom when I grew up I was going to become a killer whale, not like study them.
Not a marine biologist.
No, I want to be a whale.
I want to be the whale. She said she could finally tell me, she convinced me that wasn't possible when I had to get fish for Christmas. So like for me,
honey.
Yeah, she was like, you don't want fish for Christmas. And so that's sort of like my next plan. It'll probably still be smutty, but like I want to delve more into like the storyline aspect of it and that Scotch. And sort of like the world building of that one, where there will still be smutty aspects, but like more to it is like the actual growing of the characters, and like it'll be a series instead of like interconnected standalones. So that's my next step. I haven't really. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you're adding tentacles to this whole equation.
Hey.
You have to do smut with tentacles. I'm just saying, and the little suction cups on the tentacles. I mean,
yeah, you gotta add it.
You gotta.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'd ever do one like without smut, but I'd probably do one with a little less smut. Like once I sort of get to that point and I have more of like a story building. But yeah. Smut is sort of like a comfort zone, and it's one of those things where like if I don't know what my next step is, I can be like, okay, well, we're just gonna fuck.
Yeah, like listen, this needs to have some tension release, so let's do it.
A fucking interlude, just a little break.
And I think that's like a pretty easy go-to for a lot of authors. They're like, I don't know what to do next. Let's just like see where this takes us.
Just bang it out real quick.
Yeah.
And then after we'll have
Inspiration will
conflict.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dog is chewing on something. Give me just a second.
Yeah, no worries.
I don't trust him. All right, we're good.
We get it.
Fair. They're like children, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Always getting into stuff. Do you have any authors that you idolize? That like you look up to their work and that inspires you?
Yeah. So I have a friend who, I have two author friends that really sort of got me into it and got me there. One of which is H.A. Wills. She writes, it's a Wide Shoes Academy. Well, not academy. They're in high school. This girl just finds out she's a witch and she ends up falling for like a bunch of magical creatures, supernatural creatures. Scotch. The other two are asleep and he's like, let me do the most. So she was sort of a big inspiration to me. She writes queer romance, and like she was one of my stepping stones. I alpha read for her. And then my friend Kinsey Young, she just writes like smutty plus size books that are all interconnected. And so like those two, they're friends of mine. So they were like a really big influence for me because I was able to talk to them and work through it. And then I went to Wild and Windy this past year. If y'all know, you know, that was a shit show. But CC Monroe was there.
Yeah, tell
I
us
know, I
about
love
the
CC
shit
Monroe.
show.
Yeah, tell us about the shit show.
It was such a shit show. So Scotch, what are you doing?
Drinking.
He's like, he's digging in a box that is not dog toys. He's just like doing the most.
All I hear is glass clinging, and I'm like, well, his name is Scotch. I mean, you know.
Yeah, he found I had like a bottle on my shelf and he knocked it over. Luckily it didn't break, but I was like, what is happening right now? You chose right now to do all this. And he's now, one of his favorite pastimes is to go up the steps and throw a ball down it and chase it. So that's what he's decided to do. But no, Wild and Windy was a shit show. So it was last April, I believe. And it was, so I got there, I was an influencer, right? Hold on, let me go steal his ball because I won't be able to concentrate. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
You're totally fine.
It's like having other children. They're just
I know. Like, I'm surprised neither one of us had to actually go and step in with one of our kids yet, you know?
I know. It's coming, though. 'Tis the season and all that with the the time change. I know.
Yeah.
And now that Caleb can open his door, I'm really going to be screwed.
Yep.
Oh. Are you done? All right. Sorry. So I was I went as an influencer, but I still paid for my ticket because I wasn't like an elite influencer or anything like that, right? So I get there, and the day of, they are like, oh, you've been upgraded to this sort of influencer. And I was like, what does this mean? Right. And so I'm standing in this long line. Nobody can tell me what it means. And there's like a lady walking out. She's passing out a bag. It had books in it. Like, I'm thinking this is going to be great. Right. So I'm asking person after person after person. And nobody's like, I don't know what a VIP influencer means. Nobody could tell me. And that was just sort of like the start. Like the line took so long that people didn't check in until the next day. They took me out of line. They gave me my little badge and said, you're supposed to be at this influencer party. So I go up there and it felt like we were all just crammed into a ball. Like it was overcrowded. There were so many people. I was on the verge of an anxiety attack because I was like, this is insane. But y'all, you're making me look ridiculous. He's normally not this obnoxious, but he's really decided.
Yeah, no, it's good. He's built for camera. He's built
Apparently.
for the screen.
So they took me out of the line, which I felt bad because I've now gotten checked in front of all these people that have been here before me.
Yeah.
So like I already felt bad. They took me out of line and couldn't tell me where this influencer party was. Luckily, I heard two other influencers complaining and I was like, I'm following them.
Yeah.
I know who they are. I'm following them. So I follow them. We go up to this party. It's just like a bunch of people stuffed in a room. We're supposed to be mingling, but like you can't mingle because there's just too much happening. And there was a lot of drama happening because like a problematic influencer that wasn't supposed to be there showed up.
Oh, God.
This was right around the time that this particular influencer got in trouble for sexually harassing hockey players.
She was there?
She was there. I was
KL,
messaging.
right?
Yeah.
KL. Oh my God. Okay.
She was there. And so I actually left the influencer party because I was like, this is too much. I've been standing in line. I'm sweaty. I just flew from Atlanta to Denver. I'm done. So I left and I went downstairs to try and talk to somebody. And she's actually in front of me in line. So I'm like on TikTok messaging mutuals, like, she's actually here. So then the next day I go, and again, nobody could tell me what my VIP badge meant. I do get to go and talk to some authors. There was supposed to be like panels. The panels were overlapping. People were missing. It was overcrowded. The hotel had overbooked. So like another conference was there. And some of the people at that conference ended up being in trouble for sexually harassing some of the people at the book influence at Reader's Take Denver.
Oh, shit.
To give you I think Reader's Take Denver started in 2022, 2023, something like that. And they went from like less than 800 people to 4,000.
Yeah.
So like
Denver, I remember that being a shit show. I remember that.
That's what this was. And I know that people like cops were called for some of the events. I wasn't at all the events because I was like, this is too much. I didn't even worry about being an influencer at this point. I'm like, I'm just gonna walk through and see people. And I'm not recording because there's
you were doing them a favor by not influencing at this point. Like,
I was like, I don't even have 5,000 followers. Like, I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do. They had like a lunch with authors, which you spent extra money on. And so I did that, and they like had this list of authors, and you got to pick like your 5 authors that you'd be most happy with. Some people didn't even get authors that were on their list. Like they had to like redo these lists, and some people never got their tickets that they paid for. There was not accessibility there. Like there was somebody in a wheelchair that was having trouble getting around. Like there was just like problem after problem after problem. Authors weren't able to leave their tables to go get drinks and food, which were promised. And like you're standing there, like you need to be able to go and get drinks, get water, food, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember there was so much that happened.
There was.
Like
I remember hearing about
there
it.
was theft. Some authors' books never showed up. Like they were sent to the hotel and their books never showed up. And one of the, I want to say, I can't remember who it was, but like one of the merch tables had a bunch of stuff stolen.
I heard about that too. Oh, H.T. Carlton. Apparently there was a lot of drama about that. Like people attacking her character and stuff. I was like, Jesus Christ, and harassing her because they like wanted her books and stuff and were butting in line. And I was like,
they ended up taking an entire room and giving it to Rebecca Yarros. And so like some people didn't even get to see her. There were people I couldn't see. Like I walked around multiple times. Like I was looking for Bridget and Jake Bordeaux because like I read a lot of audiobooks, and like we'd already met once before. And it took me until the last day at the last possible time to find them. And that's when I learned that my VIP badge meant that I could cut in front of everybody and get in early. It was on the last day.
Oh my God.
I was like, this is ridiculous. I mean, like, I'm glad I went. Like, I got to meet a lot of great authors. CeCe Monroe in particular, like, she was, like, I told her I was writing a book, and she writes plus-size romance, like I do. And so, like, she was very supportive. And so, like, I am very grateful that I got to go. But it was a shit show.
Yeah. After you mentioned it a while, I was like, wait, I do remember hearing about that, and it was just horrible.
There was a lot that happened.
Yeah, no, like I remember going on Threads and just story after story after story. And then what was it? The Palooza one, Book Palooza or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't go to that one.
That was next, and it was actually done way better. Like everyone was like praising, it's like, this is how you do it. You don't do it the other way. I was like,
and I went to Wild and Windy before I went to Reader's Take Denver, and Wild and Windy was great. Like it was really well done. I didn't go as like an influencer. They were actually very kind. Like, I wanted to go. This was right before my husband passed, but I wasn't able to go. And then after he passed, I was able to message. I sent them a message and I was like, hey, do you know anybody reselling their ticket? This has recently happened. I really want to come just like for something for myself. And they actually ended up giving me a ticket for free. They were like,
Oh,
Oh wow.
we would love to have you here. Here is this ticket. Like, just come, have a great time. And it, like, they were fantastic. I didn't go as an influencer to that one. I didn't apply or anything like that, but like, it was much more organized.
Yeah.
is there any future like book events or conventions or whatever that you would apply either as an author or an influencer or just go to as a guest?
Yes, I'm actually doing 2 signings this year. It was like another way that I thought about getting my name out there. There's a really small one in Savannah, Georgia, that's just like 4 hours on a Saturday or something like that. And so I'm doing that one because it's close and easy. But I'm doing oh, it's in Orlando. Smut something.
I think I know. Oh,
Oh,
wait, I think I have it on IG.
I know what it is. Like, and my brain is suddenly like, you don't know what this is called. And I keep wanting to say Smutville, but that's the anthology.
Smut Lovers?
Smut Lovers. That's it.
Was it?
I'm going
Okay.
to that one
It
as a
says, it
signing.
says Smut Lovers the conference.
Yeah.
Okay.
2025.
So I'm going to that one. It's in September, I believe.
Yes.
In Orlando.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
And I'm very excited for that one. The one in Savannah is very small, so I don't know like if I'll get a ton of people coming through that one. But it was like the first one I saw, and I was like, this is close to home. You know, it can be like a fun little thing. And then I saw Smut Lovers, and I was like, this one is a lot bigger, but Orlando still isn't like really far. A lot of them are ones that like I'd have to take a plane to, and I can't really afford to put my books on a plane. So like I can drive from Atlanta to Orlando or Atlanta to Savannah, but driving from Atlanta to San Diego or whatever is just like not
Yeah, not feasible for
not
sure.
feasible. So
Yeah, plus I don't think a lot of people want to take the planes right now anyway.
Yeah.
So
in
I know
my
I'm not.
in my dating bio, I'm like, we should see a psychic and see which plane is going to fall next and see if we'd live and we can just like cash out.
Yeah.
Because
We'll
Delta
see.
just paid people $30,000, and I was like, that seems funny to me.
Yeah.
Ah, I know. I wish I was on that Delta plane. I was like, when it rolled over and then everyone got $30,000 just being on the plane, and it had
Yeah.
nothing to do. Like, it wasn't like a "don't sue us" anything. It was just like, here, so you can get therapy for almost dying. Here you go.
Yeah.
Like, for the chance of you could have died, here's some therapy money. That's all it was. I was like, why
That's
the fuck
exactly
was I
what it
not on
was.
there? And like, so it landed in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, which is literally an hour away from us. We're in Canada.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I was like, wish I was on that plane. That's the plane.
So close.
If I'm going on a plane,
So close.
that's the one I wanted to be on.
Yeah.
Wasn't.
Right. Hey, yeah, no, I don't want to get on any planes right now. Especially
Stay
not
on the
in the
ground. Stay
States.
on the ground.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I'm not going to the States. Sorry, guys.
No.
But
Do
not going
it.
to the States for the next 4 years.
Yeah,
It's
we
just
had
not-
plans because we used to take a trip to the States to do podcast stuff. Our last one was a book convention in Kentucky, and we were gonna go to another one, but yeah, I think it's safer to stay in Canada at this point.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, we really wanted to go to Salem. Like, that's the
Oh,
next book convention. Get witchy with it in Salem.
Yeah.
We were dying to go. Like, we have an author friend that was going to meet us there, and like
one of
we
our
were gonna see
Patreon
people.
supporters, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and like we were so excited, but then the election happened, and we're just gonna keep our butts home. That's all.
Yeah, but which is valid. If I could leave the States, I would consider it. Honestly,
Well, if you ever do, just tell me when you're coming to Canada, and we'll meet up.
I would love
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
will definitely, because that is one of the things, like, since being a widow, like, I want to travel more. It wasn't something I got to do a whole lot when I was married. And so, like, that is something I want to do. But I need money first.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we're trying
travel's
to
not cheap.
promote your books out there.
Yeah, trying to promote my books. And I'm not going to lie, there is like a high chance that with things that are currently happening in the States, I could lose my job. So like I am anxious because my job relies on Medicaid.
Yeah.
Oh, I am so sorry. Like, I just keep
Yeah.
hearing worse news about all that stuff, and I'm just like,
There's a
someone
lot.
needs to find a Mario to the Luigi. That's all I'm gonna say.
I agree with that. There's a lot of people. You know that there was a second shooting and that it didn't get any news.
Yeah.
Like and it's because like Luigi had all of those
They
supporters.
don't want to promote anymore. They got the back, like they weren't expecting everyone to side with Luigi, so now they're like, we cannot let anyone else know that this keeps happening.
Yeah. And people from all walks of life sided. It wasn't just like the people that agreed that billionaires shouldn't be a thing. It was like everybody sided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone agreed finally on something.
Yeah, stop hoarding wealth. Like, that's it.
Yeah. So, and no, crazy in the States.
Well, I'm out of questions. Do you have anything else you want to ask, John?
I think I'm done. I think we asked quite a bit. We talked for like
almost an hour.
Yeah, no, we touched on a lot of subjects from book conventions to the United States political landscape. So lots of variety in there.
Yeah. I have ADHD, so like my brain wanders.
No, that's a whole premise of
You
our
are literally
podcast.
on brand with us. I'm just gonna say it. Like all the topics we talked about on brand with our whole podcast.
Love it.
And people that listen to us are used to our shenanigans, so it's perfect.
Perfect. And I posted like a TikTok before I came on that was talking about coming on it, and people are like, I want to watch. So hopefully you get some new watchers too.
Yeah. Woo. Hello,
and if you have
everyone that watched to the end. We appreciate you.
And if you have any other author friends that want to like jump on and get on this too, just let them know to email us at opinionatedlushes@gmail.com and we'll gladly have them on.
Yeah.
Perfect. I will definitely let them know. I have several author friends, so can happily do that.
Yeah, well, if you want to use this time and plug your books, your social medias, anything you want to plug, now is the time to do it.
Yeah, so I am on TikTok, author Lavender Nicole. You can find me pretty much author Lavender Nicole on every platform. Some of them, it might be Lavender Nicole author because it was the way it was. I also have a Facebook group if people want to join. It's Lavender Nicole's Lovely Readers. And I'm now dropping things. Tattooed on Their Hearts was my debut contemporary romance that I read today. And All Caged Up was my demon cuckold novella. So
Love
I don't
it.
think I said the word cuckold the entire time, and that was like one of my main selling points for the book.
That's awesome. We'll have the links to a bunch of stuff for you right below because we know people don't like to do the extra steps. So it's just click it right there.
Perfect.
Easy peasy. Well,
thank y'all
you
so much.
Thank
I was
you.
so glad to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, we're definitely going to have you back.
Perfect.
We're definitely having you back.
I love it.
Yeah, when your next book comes out, hit us up and we'll definitely have you back to read a little bit more because I find you're very good at talking from a female perspective. You know, I love a little F on F, so it's good. It's good.
Perfect. Thank you. I was like, when I wrote it, I was like, man, people don't like sapphic books, but this, like, it just felt right to me.
The second I read like that it was gonna be sapphic, I messaged Jessica and I'm like, I'm excited for this episode. It's sapphic in a church.
Perfect. I love it. I'm so glad.
Dawn was talking about it all day. She's like, I can't wait till tonight.
Oh yeah, I love that. That makes me so happy.
So thank you so much,
Thank
Lavender
you.
Nicole, for coming on. And thank you so much to our listeners for listening. Make sure to check out these authors because the world's on fire. Buy their book.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all in the next episode. Good night.
Bye.